Hello, this is Rob and Mike from the McClellan Financial Group of Asante Capital Management, and this is Thinksmart with TMFG. Mike, I thought we might today have a discussion about, some of the advantages of working with an experienced advisor, someone who's been around, 10 or 15 years. I used to think that it wasn't that important. Obviously, early in my career, I didn't think it was a big deal, but times have changed. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was putting together one day just a list because I thought of this stuff. And same as you, when I was a younger advisor, I wanted to fight the fact where why would anyone need to deal with an older advisor because I didn't have the experience. After I've been through those experiences, it's given me a different outlook on that. A few things I've had, and these are heavy experiences that you deal with as a financial advisor. At least 10 times I've had a client come in and say they're dying, which is a very heavy moment to go through and say, what do I have to do? And until you've had that moment, you don't really understand how people think and what the actual emotions they go through in that. And when that happens, it gives you a lot of experience on what's really important and how people care about their families, how they care about their spouses, all the complexities involved in that.
And behavior plays a role in that too. I went through it myself with cancer and thinking that I was going to die.
Yeah.
This year alone, we've had a lot of clients pass away, and half of those were probably expected, but half of them were completely unexpected.
Yeah.
And the role the advisor plays in that is important. Not only the role they play at the time, but some of the work that's been done in advance, whether it be a family meeting, whether you've reviewed if there's enough life insurance or disability insurance. Some of those things that advisors do in advance, you don't think will play a major role until you have a year like this where clients are passing away.
Yeah. I've had at least 30 or 40 times I've had clients come in and they've lost their job in shock. It's almost like they got hit by a bus. They come in and said, I came into work today. I've been let go. And their whole life changes. Their whole future changes. And it's something they have to be walked through. Number one, you got to make sure they've done everything, the proper channels have been taken. You got to deal with all the financial side of it. And beyond the financial side, there's a tremendous emotional side to this too.
Absolutely. They've been working at a company maybe 20, 25 years. And suddenly that's gone.
Somewhere in their late 50s.
And it's tough to go out and reinvent yourself. You and I have to look at the financial side of it. Do they have enough, do they have an emergency fund for something like this? If they get a settlement from the company, how are we going to make that settlement last until they get a new job? And sometimes that can take up to a year, depending on what type of industry they were in, et cetera. As you said, how many times have we had to put clients and connect them to good lawyers to make sure that they were treated fairly when they left the company,
yep.
And that they received the funding they were entitled to? What else?
Along that line, if we get lawyers involved, we've dealt with multiple divorces. Clients that come in and say, we've decided between myself, my spouse, we have to separate. And we've dealt with ones that are very reasonable. We've dealt with unreasonable. We've dealt with very tough divorces. And everyone is different, right? And you go through this with them and you walk them through all the steps. Again, huge change in life, both financially and emotionally on what they're going to do.
I used to think, we used to try and manage, especially when it was just me running the practice. I used to try and keep both relationships, and that never worked out very well. And we've learned over the years to immediately separate them out and have them working with another advisor on the team. The other thing that I think is interesting about that whole discussion is, part of what we do is counseling, and most of those divorces were predictable.
Yeah.
We knew far in advance, and maybe they did as well, but certainly you and I could have seen that coming.
The writing's on the wall generally.
Absolutely.
Even marriages, we've had a bunch of marriages. Again, this is when you need to have a financial advisor to look upon and to go to and say, I'm getting married, and make sure someone's protecting your interests.
Absolutely. Everyone has different financial situations when they get into the marriage, and you want to make sure both parties are protected should something, what's the divorce rate? 50%.
Not only clients get married, the kids get married. As they go and give assets away, you always have to give a bit of a warning on how they go and give their assets to their children. Because if you do end up with a 50% divorce rate, there's a 50% chance if you give money to your child and they put it into their mortgage, that's going to leave your family.
That one's always a tough one. I find it's interesting how, because they're in love, or we trust our new son-in-law or our new daughter-in-law. And I always go back to, you know what your child is thinking. You do not know what that other person is thinking. And that same is true in most relationships. You only know one side. Even you and I have been working together for how many years? We still only know one side. I don't know how you're thinking. You don't know how I'm thinking. We've got an idea, but we don't really know.
There's been, we've had a few tragic accidents. And the funny thing is, two of them, both parties were involved. The two I can think of, there was both husband and wife were involved in these accidents. And, when you talk about estate planning, a lot of people have this idea that, after I pass away, my wife or my husband will go and get everything in order. They don't realize that things can happen together.
Absolutely. Well, I think we go through life and we always think these things happen to someone else. When you are a financial advisor and you run a practice, you actually see all those life experiences. I've had clients that have lost both their parents in a car accident. Yeah. All those different things that you've had experience with and you've been able to learn from and deal with better when they happen again. Hence the advantage of working with an experienced advisor.
I once had a client pass away, and the husband was in his 90s. The wife was about 2 years younger, but her sister all lived to be 100 years old. He passed away, and within a week she passed away. Perfectly healthy. There'd be no reason or before it, but passed away immediately afterwards. Again, there was no time to fix anything, right? It had to be set up the right way originally.
The other area that I think has been interesting is just dealing with clients and their children. And, how many different things, you and I each have kids, and, we know nothing's perfect with regards to that. We go through stuff personally, but you see it with clients, clients who have children with disabilities, clients whose children develop different things over the course of their lifetime, who struggle. And how do you help the client get through some of that? Not just financially, but how do you help them get through some of that?
It's probably one of the highest problems we see with people who are retired, dealing with their kids nowadays, and a few things. I mean, disabilities is a major thing, and that changes your whole life. But even children that are having trouble getting jobs, that aren't moving out of the house. A lot of parents had planned on having their kids by the time they're 30 years old will be able to downsize their house and make their whole retirement plan work. It's 30 years old. The kids are all still at home. I
think the average age for leaving the parents' house today is now 32 years of age.
Yeah.
That's a long time. If they graduated at 22 or 23, they might be living with you for 10 years.
It's a big expense. People don't realize it, but feeding more houses, more showers, more water, more electricity, and just the other side, you have to stay in this huge residence for many years longer.
I guess it's one of the things that I do love about being in this industry is really helping people through this, and having the experience now of having done this for north of 25 years. It helps make the job more rewarding. I'm not going to say it's easier, but a little easier. None of these things shock you anymore. You sort of dealt with them before.
It's more interesting, and you feel like you provide a very a large value. Our goal has always been able to provide value for our clients, right? And that's been the main thing we've always had here. We felt if we can provide value over time, we'll be one of the better advisors out there. And that's what I find separates good advisors from bad advisors. Good advisors want to provide value. They don't want to just invest money or anything like that. And the true value comes when someone walks in a situation, they don't know what to do, they're lost. And you have some experience in here that you can bring forward to them to make that transition of whatever it is go more smoothly for them.
Absolutely. We have a number of clients we've been dealing with for 20, 25 years. And you see all kinds of different things go on in their life.
And interesting thing is once they've been through one of these transition experiences, they're clients for life too.
Absolutely.
The appreciation we've got back from clients, I've never had anyone come and say, thank you for that 10% year, but I've had a ton of clients come back and say, thank you for what you did for me when I was going through this hard time in my life.
Yeah, interesting. Well, this is Rob and Mike with Thinksmart with TMFG from the McClellan Financial Group at Asante Capital Management.
You have been listening to the McClellan Financial Group of Asante Capital Management Limited. Asante Capital Management Limited is a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund and Investment Industry Regulatory Organization of Canada. Insurance products and services are provided through Asante Estate and Insurance Services Incorporated. This material is provided for general information and is subject to change without notice. Every effort has been made to compile this material from reliable sources, however, no warranty can be made as to its accuracy or completeness. Before acting on any of the above, please make sure to see a professional advisor for individual financial advice based on your personal circumstances.